back to the Fumble Live. Thanks for tuning in. So we are talking about the Nets, how they have James Harden back, and the Lakers, how they will have LeBron back pretty soon, and what this means going into the playoffs and the postseason in general. Also, Tom Brady still has it out for the Giants, but is it time that he lets it go? We're going to dive into all of this in just a second. Before we do, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic.
Now, we have a couple announcements. First of all, I'll take the fan or foe. I'll remind you guys we have fan or foe. We have fan or foe coming up tomorrow, you guys, at the end of our show. So that means we are screenshotting your comments and questions in the chat and in the comment section throughout the day today and from the rest of the week. And we'll be addressing whatever you guys want to say to us. So make sure you give us your most intelligent, your most coherent, your most inspiring messages today. And don't forget,
you're asking a lot there, Devin. You're asking a lot.
What was that, Jack?
So you might be asking a lot, depending on who we're talking about. You might be asking a lot.
You know what? You got to set the standards high. You can't have a low bar. You got to have a high bar, I think. Jackie, there was something that you were going to talk about with the Hall of Fame, right?
I just know it's this weekend, so I'm excited about that. Vanessa is going to be in that. She's hosting it with Michael Jordan, so congratulations to that. That's going to be beautiful. I know I saw something earlier this week where Jordan says he still gets emotional about that last phone call that he had with Kobe. So it's going to be interesting to see how the two of those react. But I'm excited about that. Going to relax and watch that this weekend. So, I'm excited. Oh, and of course, fan or foe, like you said, don't forget. Make sure, because Stay Mad, a.k.a. Jeremiah, is always gunning to be fan of the week. So if you want to beat him, you got to leave a good comment.
Yes, you have to leave a good comment, something that's insightful or makes us think. The hate comments are never going to get fan of the week. So if you want to be fan of the week, leave the negativity at the door. We don't like that.
Right.
Now, Jackie, I did want to fill you in on something that I feel like is going to really, really irritate you. And I'm so sorry to do this to you, but basically, Jake and Logan Paul have said that they have now felt the need to hire 24/7 security guards because when that whole hat snatching incident happened, Floyd said, "I'm a kill that mother effer." So clearly tensions were high in that moment. Jake acted like a little child, ripping the hat off of Floyd's head and running away with it. Seriously, that's the kind of thing you do on the playground when you're 6. But I guess we really can't expect much more from Jake Paul. That's who he is as a person. But things definitely escalated during that whole incident. The security guards got involved. There were punches that were being thrown. Jake walked away with a black eye and a broken tooth. So clearly things definitely got a little bit more intense than I think anybody even realized. And now Jake and Logan Paul are really trying to play into it and say, we needed to hire security because when you have a guy like Floyd who has those kinds of resources and this kind of network, and he says he's going to kill you, like, you got to take it seriously, man. So they seriously think that Floyd has sent his goons out to try and kill them. Now, here's what I want to say. I feel like Jake and Logan Paul are obviously just playing into the drama. They want to hype up everything surrounding this fight so that more people tune in, and then, of course, they walk away with a bigger paycheck. If Jake and Logan Paul were seriously fearing for their lives, first of all, Floyd would not be sending his goons to go take care of him. Floyd would take care of him himself. He would go right over there and kill those two guys if he wanted them dead. 2, why is he talking to TMZ about it and not filing a police complaint? That's what I want to know. Jackie, give me your reaction to this absolutely ridiculous news.
I hate these two people. Just, what I mean? Like, I don't have a lot to say outside of that. Like, these people, the fact that they exist and they get attention is so annoying to me because this isn't them really feeling like they need security. This is them saying, hey, let's milk this. We can milk it for all it's worth. And then now it's a headline and people are going to be talking about it. And obviously, if you had hands, you wouldn't need them damn bodyguards, So, because it was literally your guards and Floyd's guards holding him back from you, sir. So, and then now you got your brother co-signing on your nonsense, which I get that. I guess my brother would co-sign on my nonsense because he's my brother. But I'm hoping he would call me to the side and being like, "You doing a lot. We are not about to get these fake security guards and pretend like we really scared of getting shot. No, we not. We not doing that." So, where is the common sense?
I know. And you know what's so weird about this is you would think that Jake and Logan are always trying to kind of like hype up how good they are as boxers and as fighters. So why are they totally okay with putting themselves in this position where they're the ones fearing for their lives? Like, don't you want to be the guys that can take down Floyd Mayweather? I thought that was the whole thing here. I don't know why they're comfortable being in this position, acting like little scaredy cats. Because Jake taunted and tormented Floyd Mayweather, ripped his hat off his head, and ran away like a freaking 5-year-old. I don't understand this. It makes no sense. So to me, this is all just so clearly a PR stunt. They're not actually scared. They don't actually have 24-hour security. And, you know, if they were actually that afraid, they would have talked to the local police department by now, and they would cancel the fight. If you think Floyd Mayweather is going to kill you, Logan Paul, why in the world are you going to fight him? Like,
right.
Stop.
Because that's a perfect opportunity. You know?
Right?
So, like, I mean, and if anything, just say, "Hey, Floyd, if you think you're going to kill me in the ring." That's what I would have said. You know, now let's hype up this fight that we have anyway. But you're just trying to get, and they're all about that. They're all about, let me get eyes on me regardless. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future there's a sex tape from one. Oh, God, that'd be horrific. But I would not be surprised because they just want attention at all costs, you know, and they don't care how they get it. How does that feel, though, to be so desperate for attention that you'll do anything for it? I don't know. Bless your heart. You need to see somebody, a therapist. There's people who get paid well to help people like you. Go see one of them.
Yeah. I know. I actually have heard that there is maybe some sort of sex tape out there involving Jake. I can't speak for like how true that is or if that's really a thing. I've just heard rumors about it. So I'm very sorry, Jackie. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but I'm sure it's going to come out soon. Probably on the hub somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And it'll have like 3 views. It'll be the girl, Jake, and Logan. That they'll be the only ones who watched it.
Oh, those are the only ones who watched it. I thought you were saying that's who would be in it. Not interested.
Oh.
Not that I would be interested anyway, but yuck. Yeah. All right, let's get into something that we actually do want to talk about here, the Lakers and the Nets. So first, we have to let you guys know, I'm sure you all already do know, but James Harden is back after 5 weeks away from the court. He's finally returned, and he made a really, really great comeback. He led the Nets to a 128-116 win. This was his first game since he pretty much limped off of the court on April 5th with that strained hamstring, and he came off the bench with 18 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. This was the longest absence of the longest injury absence of his career. He missed 18 games, but he looked like he hadn't really missed any at all. He was pretty impressive. He said, quote, "I didn't know what to expect. Man, this is the longest I've been without playing basketball, so I didn't know how, especially coming off the bench, not playing the first quarter, having to stay warm and do all the necessary things to go out there and be my best. I just have to go out there and play with confidence and do what I do and not think about anything. It took me a little bit, but it's just basketball at the end of the day and something that I love doing." So clearly the Nets are happy to have James Harden back. He looked really good, and I think the timing is great for him to be returning to the court. And the Lakers are also about to have LeBron back. Now, right now, the Lakers are in 7th place with a 40-30 record. They're 1 game behind the Blazers and the Mavericks in the race for a top 6 spot. If they don't get that top 6 spot, we've talked about this, they'll have to be involved in that play-in tournament. Kuz said he is not worried at all about LeBron coming back. He said, quote, "He knows himself. He knows his body better than anyone. I don't really care if he comes back and he plays Indiana Pelicans and shoots 45 times to get a rhythm. We're not worried about no chemistry issues because of the way he plays." And then LeBron tweeted yesterday, "Getting close, but I won't be in the lineup tonight. But more importantly, I will be there to put that championship banner in the rafters at the Staples Center in front of our fans." Now, the big question with I think the Lakers more than the Nets at this point is chemistry. Just like Kuz was talking about, he's not worried about chemistry with the team, but fans and people who are, not actually part of the team are curious how things are going to look with LeBron back. And some people think that he's been out for too long, that trying to come back and be that same well-oiled machine that they can be is going to be a tough one. Do you agree or disagree with those statements, Jackie, about both the Lakers and the Nets?
So I always believe in chemistry. That's something that I have preached nonstop from day one. It's very important. It's just one of those things where there's a lot of unspoken things that happen when you know your teammate. You just know your teammate's going to be here. They know you're going to do this no look there. They know that when certain movements, they can come and do. There's just certain things that when you play with somebody repeatedly. That being said, though, I'm not as worried about the chemistry for the Lakers because social media has proven that these guys talk, they hang out outside of basketball. There's a lot of love between these guys. We know Dennis and AD play Call of Duty together. LeBron stays on the phone with AD. Now, when we're talking about Andre Drummond, I don't know. I've not seen him in those circles yet. But literally everybody else, I'm sure he is, because we also remember last season in the bubble, LeBron, made this whole plaque and counted down the days, or this flag banner thing that counted down the days to when they get, the championship, because he's always trying to make sure that people don't get complacent. They understand that every single game counts and they need to play their best. And LeBron's very vocal. He's not a Kawhi where you can't build that chemistry vocally. He's very vocal. He's there with them in practices. Like he said, he was there last night. And so just sometimes your presence is important, and that can help you build that chemistry because it's just a familiarity, you have with somebody, and that's very important. The Nets are different. Just because I do think they have a lot of immense talent, but their chemistry just seems to be a little off on a personal level. So I'm not sure how it is on a professional level. I don't know how they're gelling together. They all seem slightly standoffish. They all seem to know that they're very good together. But they just seem slightly standoffish. Now, that kind of level of being standoffish works great in the regular season, but when everybody levels up and everybody kind of has had this time to work together that you haven't had, that might be detrimental in the playoffs. So I'm a little concerned about the Nets, but I'm going to show you a quote from James Harden in the post-up, and I agree with his sentiment. But his sentiment is kind of, I'm individually good. Being individually good does not necessarily mean you're good with a team. We've seen this in every single sport we've ever talked about on this show. So I am a little bit more concerned about the Nets because, number one, they haven't had the time to really, and that's not a fair statement because I feel like if they were gelling and hanging out and just getting to know each other on a personal level off the court, then I wouldn't say that, because I do think that kind of chemistry translates to the court, but they just don't seem like they're doing that. They don't seem like they're friends. They seem like they're just colleagues, and that's not a good look to me. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I do feel like it's funny that we're having this conversation right now and chemistry questions are being asked in regards to the Lakers and the Nets, but I feel like I'm seeing it a little bit more with the Lakers just because LeBron has been out. But I feel like you're onto something when you say those guys definitely make it a point to have these personal relationships outside of basketball, and they do these fun things together. And I think that can only help you as a team. I don't think that kind of bonding is absolutely necessary for a team to be good because, in my opinion, looking at the Nets, we have kind of been able to debunk chemistry issues for them because they have looked really good from the get-go. And I think sometimes all you really need is that strong roster of talent. And I feel like they've been able to make it through the season. There have been a few ups and downs with the Nets, but they've largely been able to make it through the season looking really, really good as a squad all together, even though they don't have these personal relationships outside of the game. But do you feel like going into the playoffs, the tension and the intensity and the stakes are just so much higher that that's when we can see the chemistry with the Nets actually start to fall apart a little bit?
We are always going to see whatever flaws that you've had during the regular season. If you don't address those immediately, those are going to be amplified in the playoffs, 100%, no matter what team we're talking about. If you don't fix those issues when they don't count. When they do count, those issues are going to be amplified. So that's number one. I see a lot of people in the chat say that the Nets are friends. They're just not healthy. I don't see any evidence of that. I'm not saying that they're not. And it, to Devin's point, it could be because I follow the Lakers more. But I also follow Kyrie relentlessly. He doesn't post a lot, so that's not fair. It's easy to follow KD because, he's always out there. But I just don't see that kind of chemistry. I see now on the flip side, I do see when they're winning, they kind of cheer together and do whatever. But I haven't seen somebody like James Harden kind of lift people up. I saw somebody in the chat say, it passed me now, but said, James Harden is quarterbacking that team. That's an interesting analogy to say that he's quarterbacking that team, because guess what goes wrong with quarterbacks? If you're going to use that NFL analogy, if you don't have that chemistry with your receiver, if you don't have that faith that, number one, your chemistry is going to run, your wide receiver is going to run the right route and be where he's supposed to be, or B, that he's going to work hard to get open if you're in trouble, that's a lack of chemistry between the two of you, and you will fail no matter if you're a dope quarterback or not. So if James Harden is quarterbacking that team, you still need to know that his level of chemistry with Kyrie and KD and even Blake is good. And we just don't know that yet. I think the thing that they can lean on is they have been able to pull out wins when one of them are not in. And that's going to be very, very helpful going forward. I agree with Caleb in the chat as well. He says the Nets have no defense. Again, any problems that you have in the regular season are going to be amplified in the playoffs. The only way that you can address that lack of defense is if you have that chemistry. Now, a lot of that defensively, you can work on watching tape, sitting down, watching your shortcomings, and kind of doing a walkthrough. If guys aren't healthy, you can potentially work on that, but it is easier to work on when all the guys are on the court. So this is one of those things where we've seen LeBron, tell the young guys, hey, pick your brother up when he's down, even if they're losing. He's always that vocal mentor and that vocal leader. So I do not have as much concern about him going back. He's been in the league since he was 18. That man has no issues going in there and
What the fuck?
right.
Oh my god. To load everything back. Titles are off. Jesus Christ.
All right, let's give Leo a minute. Just let him figure it all out.
Motherfucker. I wasn't even touching anything.
That's okay, Devin. We're just letting Leo finish all the assets, so let him do that.
Okay.
Are we starting with Tom Brady?
Pick up with Tom Brady, yes. You can make that one quick, Devin. Then go to Jackie for post up.
Okay.
Are you guys hear us? I think they said they hear us now.
Wait.
Really?
Oh, they can hear us.
We're not streaming.
He said so much cussing. They definitely hear us. Why though? No, there's no hate here, people. How
There's
weird
no
is it to hear us
Okay,
but not
we're
actually?
back.
Oh, damn, that didn't work.
We're live?
I think so.
Okay, let's get right to it.
Yeah, that was great.
You guys, thanks for sticking with us First of all, I don't hate any of you guys. I love all of you guys, especially those of you that tune in every day. We're going to jump into our next news story, you guys. Let's talk about Tom Brady because he wants one more chance to beat the New York Giants. He said, quote, "I've got to figure out how to beat the Giants someday. We have to have some kind of rematch in Tampa in a championship game." So obviously he's lost 2 Super Bowls to the Giants. They're the team that he could never really beat. He even said that he would trade 2 of his Super Bowl rings just for a victory in Super Bowl 42, which is, of course, regarded as like the biggest upset in NFL history. So he hasn't been able to let that go quite yet. But Jackie, is it time Tom Brady lets that go, or do you like that he still has a little bit of a grudge against the Giants?
I mean, he's always going to have a grudge against the Giants because, first of all, we are not going to ever let him live that down. Anytime somebody says, "Oh, Tom Brady is great," and everybody, no matter what conversation I'm in, it's even people who hate Eli Manning, but they'll be like, "Oh, but you didn't beat Eli though." We're not going to let him live it down, so he's not going to be able to live it down. And there's always, when you're that kind of competitor, there's always that one thing that you're like, "Damn it, if I had just." So no, he's never going to let it go. I personally love it. You know, I wouldn't give back any rings. I wouldn't go that far if I was him. But I do get that sentiment of having that perfect season and not having somebody that you probably don't even think is at your level beat you twice. So he's never going to let that go, ever.
So basically what you're saying is you understand his reasoning and you fully support the Tom Brady vendetta against the Giants.
I do. I have a friend who's throwing a party right now, and she's inviting somebody that I had beef with like years ago. And she's like, "Are you going to mind?" I said, "No, I'm not going to mind, but they better have that money there that they owe me from 10 years ago. I'm bringing it up." So,
you know what, Jackie? You and I are very different, but this is something where we both are the same because I'm the type of person, if you wrong me once, I remember it forever and I do not let it go. It's probably a bad thing that I hang on to things as deeply as I do, but I definitely cannot let it go when somebody has slighted me or wronged me in any way. I remember it forever. My mom remembers it forever. So be nice to me, people.
Yeah, even if you post something like, "Oh, it's a beautiful day," and if it happens to be in my feed, I'll be like, "But what about that day in 2017?" You know, I'm petty like that. So I feel Tom Brady on this one.
All right. So me, Jackie, and Tom, we all have something in common here. We don't mind holding a grudge. Sometimes it's worth it. All right. Well, that is all we've got for Need to Know News. I'm super excited for the post-up because I know we've got a lot to talk about. You teased that James Harden quote that we're getting to, so let's jump right to it, Jackie.
Yes, let's get into the post-up. You guys know the Lakers, my Lakers. I love saying that now. My Lakers hung the banner last night. I had to stop what I was doing and go find some Wi-Fi to watch it because I definitely did not want to miss that. But you guys know Kyle Kuzma has been on through a lot. He's been on the trading block damn near since he came to LA. So it's just been a lot for him to go through, always having to try to reinvent or figure out who he is, having LeBron saying he's supposed to be the 3rd best player on the team and him not quite living up to that, but then having these great games and then scoring 2 points the next game. He's been through a lot. So I really appreciate his quote about, you know, how it feels in this moment to have that banner raised and what that means for him since he's been there since he was drafted. So I want to post his quote from this because, like I said, it's really beautiful. He said, "It means a lot. I've been here the longest. I've been here through some ugly times, some really ugly times. Whether it was rookie year and the whole debacle we had, second year, same crazy stuff. I've kind of seen it all. So for me to be here from the jump and to be a part of this and essentially turning around an organization from the jump, from the draft, that's where it all started for this whole strategic game plan. It means a lot. Being a kid from Flint, Michigan. I always forget he's from Flint, Michigan. I never really thought about raising banners in Staples Center. So it's surreal to me. And I'm just really grateful that I'm able to play the game that I love and contribute at a high level to winning. It's a once in a lifetime thing, that banner I've been a part of. It's up there forever. It's never gonna go down. And I will always remember this moment." So regardless, you know, and Kyle Kuzma, he's definitely one of those guys. He has these moments of greatness and then he disappears for a game. So I still think he's learning who he is as a player on that team. But I definitely appreciate his thought process in this because this is a big deal for him going through everything he's gone through. I absolutely love him for this. I think it's a beautiful thing. And of course, fans reacted to it as well. and they had stuff to say about it. And this guy says, and I echo this, he says, I feel like as fans, we can kind of relate since we lived through a lot of those rough times too. Tonight was a special night. It really was, especially with the pandemic and all that we went through with that. And then hearing Kyle Kuzma have these words of like, this is an amazing moment in time, and not really taking that for granted. A lot of guys go, oh, you know, I did this, I did that, but he's really reflecting on how hard it's been for him. And I love that. I respect that. I have another tweet from another user who, you know, had some thoughts on it. He said he's always been the hard hat, lunch pail kind of kid in the bunch. It's good to see a young role player in this league accept his role. And that's true, because he said things like, you know, I would be a number one on any other team. And that's actually not true. I haven't heard him say that in a while, so that's good. But he's definitely kind of settled into his role here, and he's accepted it. And now we just need him to be a little bit more timely, especially as we go into these playoffs. But shout out to Kyle Kuzma. He's not the Danny Green of the bunch. He definitely helped earn this, and I love him for this. So I hope he does not end up on any more trading blocks. He can just relax and enjoy his time as a Laker. But let's get into what a lot of you guys are here to talk about, and that is this James Harden situation. Like I said at the top of the show, I really agree with his sentiment. I think a lot of people, because of how they feel about James Harden, might just be like, oh, he's being cocky or whatever y'all are going to say. But I really do agree with his sentiment. So check out this clip.
How long you were out and how little experience you have coming back from lengthy layoffs. Are you surprised at how quickly it kind of came back to you and you were back in the flow of things?
Not really, not to like brag or anything, but I'm really good at this game. You know, I study the game. Very unselfish. I take the game and I play it the right way every single night. So I don't try to do anything that I can't do or anything that doesn't benefit our team. And if that mindset right there keeps me in a really good place.
I mean, how can you hate on that? It's a factual statement. He is a really good player. He is really good at what he does. So for him, if he feels like he can just fall back into it, I agree with that. Again, I'm not saying that the chemistry doesn't need to be addressed, but as far as who he is as a player, that's my issue with the Nets. It's like everyone's individually good. Is that individuality going to profit them in the playoffs? We'll just have to wait and see. But what really irks me is when people say stuff like this next user, because it makes me feel like you don't have a clue as to how hard it is to actually win a championship and how good. There's so many good players in the league. It's not like we're just drafting scrubs out here. But this guy says if you're really good at this game, you should have won a darn chip in Houston, considering you had CP3 and Westbrook with you. Now you're in a stacked team with two other superstars. You want to brag, LMAO. First of all, CP3 and Westbrook were not in Houston with them at the same time. That's number one. Your sentence implies that they were. So, you know, punctuation is your friend. Number two, I will agree that we all thought that when he had Chris Paul there, that's when we thought they had the best chance of winning. But chemistry, you guys remember the playoffs, and Chris Paul is like trying to go at Harden and say, hey, I need you to step up defensively. And James Harden didn't even really have a lot to say to Chris Paul back. So again, don't disagree with James Harden and what he's saying, but I'm not saying that chemistry is not a thing. James Harden, of all people, should know that because he's lived through that in Houston. So Devin, what did you think about James Harden's comment? Is he just being cocky? Is he right? What do you think?
Well, I think we live in a time, especially recently, where anytime you notice something that you like about yourself, you're deemed as cocky and arrogant. So I think it is a little off-putting to hear somebody compliment themselves like that. But I've never had an issue with it, you know? Like, I think James Harden is a really good player. He is really good at the game, and there's no problem in him acknowledging that. I think, if anything, now that he's set that bar for himself, he has to live up to that, especially going into the playoffs. So I don't have a big issue with it, but I understand why people are hearing that and feeling a little bit put off by it. It's just like if a girl looks at herself in the mirror and she's like, gosh, I'm so pretty. Like, it's in those moments I'm like, yes, girl, I love that. But it's also a little bit like, ooh, it's a little weird hearing that, but I like the confidence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think sometimes people forget you have to have, no one in this league is really good if they're not a little cocky. Because if you don't get on the floor every single time and think you're at the best at what you do, then you're failing. And at some level, you need to step up and get that confidence, because that confidence is going to translate to your level of play. And James Harden has proven that he's really good. So he's earned the right to be able to say this. It doesn't change the fact that we still know that each of these guys are individually great, but we just need to see if that individuality works into the playoffs, because it is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. So it's just going to be, a little curious to see. So let's move on to this next one, because this next one is hilarious to me, because while I don't agree with a lot of the criticism James Harden gets, y'all, this dude has been weird for a while. So JJ Redick, if you guys remember back in March, he came out and said, don't trust the New Orleans. They're not trust the Pelicans because they're not trustworthy, because they promised me they were going to get me closer to home and get me closer to my family in Brooklyn, like they owed you that. And then when they didn't do that, he came out and said they're not trustworthy and blah, 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 blah. So he's still mad and he's still petty. So just so you know that I am not surprised that he liked this tweet. So you see JJ Redick liked this, and SportsCenter posted it that the New Orleans Pelicans had been eliminated, and he liked that tweet. That's petty. I'm that level of petty, but nobody's watching to see, my level of petty on social media. So that's the only difference. But I am not at all surprised that JJ Redick out here liking the fact that his former alma mater has been eliminated. So that's number one. He's still butthurt about that, and that's hilarious. But this user has a point that I think is kind of irrelevant, because he says he has a lot of time for tweeting sitting on the bench. First of all, he's hurt. So there's that, sir. And then somebody else responded to that tweet and said, number one, he's hurt and that's why he's on the bench. And then someone else said, yeah, but he's also bad. So JJ is getting no love. I just want y'all to know that he is getting absolutely no love. Devin, I know that we're here for the pettiness, but is this, when everybody's watching your every move on social media, is this a tweet that you like, or do you just kind of gloss over this one?
I mean, I think if you are trying to stay in good standing with the NBA in general, it's probably something that you gloss over, but I'm here for the like. I am 100% here for the like.
Yes. I mean, I wasn't surprised at all when people were like, can't believe you like that. I'm like, have you heard JJ talk? Because this is very obvious that he was going to like this. So I was like, okay, JJ, I see you're petty. But you guys, the NFL schedules were released yesterday. Let me know in the chat who a lot of you guys play, because I didn't look at nobody except for my Saints. And we play the Green Bay Packers week 1. Don't know if that's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay, or somebody else. But let me know who your team is playing week 1 and if you think you're going to win week 1. But Tom Brady is playing the Cowboys week 1. Tampa Tom took this moment to, I wish I could have gotten it while it was on his story, because he's got this woman laughing. But let me show you this tweet his Instagram story. He said, 9/9, September 9th, can't come soon enough. Excited to open against quote unquote America's team. And then the lady on there is just going, ha, 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 ha. Like she's laughing, like America's team. Maybe it's time for the Cowboys to revisit that, because every time we talk about the Cowboys and you call them America's team, they get so much shade for that. But I'm going with Tampa Tom beating the Dallas Cowboys, even with Dak Prescott coming back. I'm going with Tampa Tom winning game 1. What do you think, Devin?
I was muted. I always mute myself so that all my noises that I make when you're talking don't come through. I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be Tampa Bay Tom for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I just can't wait to see all the Cowboy fans all over Twitter talking about the refs cheated. This should have been holding. This shouldn't have been blah, 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 because everybody cheats for Tom Brady. No, you've been bad for a long time, Cowboy Nation.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't blame this on nobody else. This is a you problem. This is not a ref problem. I'm just going to throw that out there now. I know we have some Cowboy fans in the chat. I apologize. Kind of, sort of, not really, if your feelings are hurt, but good luck to you. Let me just say that. Good luck to you. All right. Let's get to this next one. And I just want you guys to really, because I don't think it's as bad as people are making it for a lot of reasons. But let me just get to this first picture so y'all can see what's going on, and then let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion about it. So if you look at this, like I said yesterday, the schedules came out. So here are the Falcons. They got their players on there. Julio Jones, which y'all want to stay tuned later to find out a little funny anecdote about Julio Jones. But Julio Jones is not in here, at all. Okay, so at first I was like, ooh, that's curious, because we know that, trade talks have been circling around him for quite some time. I've seen people, and I agree, I think that they would be ridiculously stupid to trade him. But there's been like this disconnect for a while, and these trade talks are circulating around him. So you guys know the Falcons were dead last in my division, the NFC South last season. They were 4-12. So obviously they need to make some moves, but I don't think you make those moves regarding Julio Jones. So another user pointed out, because I was like, maybe this is a sign that they're okay, hands up in the air, we're done with Julio, we're going to move on. But this user points out that Julio wasn't in there last year either. Okay, so then that makes me think, has this problem been going on for a while? Is there some sort of disconnect? Because how do you not put your best player on the damn team picture? How do you not do this? This doesn't make sense to me. So there's obviously something going on behind the scenes, because I do believe a picture is worth 1,000 words. And when you leave somebody out of a picture, that says a lot. So I do believe that something is being said in this situation. And then now this user points out that the kicker, now I didn't know the team well enough to know that was a kicker, but the kicker is on the graphic. You put the kicker, which nobody probably recognized, nobody, unless you're a diehard Falcon fan, you probably didn't even recognize you. And even then, as a Falcon fan, you probably had to go, Google, who is that? Because I didn't know it was a kicker. You put a kicker on instead of me? I'm your best player and you put the kicker on? That's a level of we don't want to deal with you. It's definitely disrespectful. I don't understand it. So then this kind of caused everybody on Twitter to go to this whole thing about where he's going to be moving to. And this is the only move that I actually liked. This person said Julio is going to Baltimore to help Lamar make a Super Bowl. I actually like that. But again, it's just been trade talks. And the last trade talk I heard was the GM saying, with regards to Julio Jones, a reporter asked, hey, are you guys considering trading Julio Jones? And his response was, and I'm quoting here, if someone calls, we will listen. So you're saying that you'll entertain calls to trade me, but there's nothing concrete. And I haven't heard that the two of them were talking about trades. You don't have me in last year's picture. You don't have me in this year's picture. Devin, what are they saying by this? Because it seems to me like they're saying, hey, if we can get you out of here, we want you out.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I would take it too. I was feeling, so when I first saw this graphic, I thought, okay, for sure that means his future with the team hangs in the balance. It's very uncertain. The fact that he was also left off of it last year even solidifies that more for me, because it just shows 2 times now they haven't wanted to include him on a graphic just in case he's not there anymore. Now, I'm not surprised by that quote you just shared with us about, who did you say it was that said, if somebody calls, we'll always listen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've talked about that before, especially with the NFL. Nobody is safe ever. Those conversations are always being had. So I'm not surprised by that, but to speak that to the press and to make a public statement about it, it just, for me, even further confirms that Julio Jones is on the chopping block at this point. Because I don't know why he wouldn't be on that. That's pretty wild to me.
So then my question becomes, if obviously, like I said, there seems to be something going on there, right? So if you know that you're on the chopping block, or if you know that there's this level of whatever that's going on, how do you play through that? How do you go out there? I mean, because if it's been going on for 2 years, I get that one season where you're like, oh, let me go out here and prove myself. But now if it's 2 seasons and there's this disconnect, I mean, it becomes difficult to go out there and enthusiastically do your job, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I know that if I were in that position, I would certainly struggle to be the team player that you really need to be in a sport like that. So I'm sure it doesn't feel good. I mean, we've seen so many athletes just refuse to play when they know that they're not being appreciated or being held onto by the team. They just refuse to play. They, speak to Twitter about it. They post on social media. So something is going on. He's just being more quiet about it. And I feel like it's going to show on the field. Yeah.
So Hezekiah in the chat says it's a sign because they're trading him. It makes no sense. He's their best player. It only means that. At this point, it just lets me know that you don't want to have my picture up because you're planning on me being gone. And I think you started that plan last year because you didn't have me on the picture last year either. So I think it's just the plan didn't come true last season. And I think my thing is don't ever stay where somebody doesn't want you. So if that's how they gonna act, you need to call your agent and try to expedite this. So, try to get to some place where they're gonna appreciate you, and that at least you can start with a clean slate, because this is insane. So good luck to you, Julio, because this level of disrespect, I'm not here for it. I'm just not. So let's move on to this next one, because this next one is funny to me, because Devin and I tell you all the time that money translates different to us because we live in LA. So when we hear $1 million and then we see somebody go out and buy, a $600,000 car, we're like, yeah, how you gonna pay rent now? Because it's just more expensive out here. So we're in Los Angeles, and it is very expensive in Los Angeles. It's double that, almost double that in San Francisco. So you need to budget correctly. And I think a lot of times, and I've always said this, that they need to have some sort of money management for all players that are potentially going to go to the NFL, because you need to understand you got to still live very low income. Be like Marshawn Lynch and just stack your chips and don't put yourself in a situation, because otherwise you're going to end up looking like this. Let me show you the rookie who just found out how much it costs to live in the Bay Area. So this says, look on 49ers rookie Ambry Thomas' face when he was asked about the cost of living in the Bay Area. That is his face. That is a legitimate face, because right before I got on here, I went to Rent Cafe. Now, Rent Cafe, if you guys don't know, it's a platform. Like once you live in an apartment, it's like 99% of the apartments, at least out here in California, when you pay rent, if you pay rent online, you pay it through Rent Cafe. So it also monitors, what the average rent price is. Okay, so are you guys ready for this? The average rent price for a 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, drum roll, $2,879 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Basically $3,000, because you also have to pay all your utilities, and utilities will run you about $150 to $200. So that's $3,000 right there. That's not including your cable bill, your car note, insurance, all that. $3,000. Oh, and then Titus says no, it's $4,000 for a 1-bedroom in San Francisco. Y'all, that rookie contract. If I was a rookie, no, I don't want to go to San Francisco. Please don't draft me. I can't afford it on my rookie salary. Don't draft me there. So this next user called it, and he was like, that's the face you make when you don't know. He says, haha, Ambry just found out being a multimillionaire gets you a studio apartment in Richmond. Y'all, sometimes, I love LA, I do. But the reality of it is California in general, unless you living in some like hick town, like Bakersfield, it's expensive. It's very expensive. So that rookie salary is not buy your mama a house. What you might want to do is get traded to like Baltimore or something like that, and then buy your mama a house. But Devin, are you surprised at that face that he made? Was that not the face that you made when you were apartment searching? Because we both just went through this. Did you get some rents that made you go, what the hell?
Well, yes, but I'm not surprised. Like the fact that a 1-bedroom in San Francisco is $2,800 to me is like, okay, that's what I expected. I think especially living in Santa Monica where I live, like that's what I'm used to. Obviously that's not what I'm paying for rent, but that's what I'm used to over here, because it's just so high and there's just so much demand. So they're able to just jack up these rent prices so much. I think growing up in Southern California, living in San Diego and LA my whole life, I am used to this, but I think it is hilarious to see his shock at the rent prices, because he's obviously not used to that. But California is a very expensive place to live, and it sucks 100%. But like, what are you gonna do about it? That's
right. It's just, it is what it is. I have a friend who works in HR, and she just hired, she tried to hire this, I forget where, I think she's from Idaho or somewhere where rent is more reasonable. So they were paying her $75,000 a year. But the woman was like, oh my God, this is amazing, because this is like her first like big paying job. She ended up turning it down because she was like, I've been apartment shopping, and unless I live in the hood, I can't find an apartment that I can afford and pay my car note and, insurance and eat with $75,000 a year. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. Welcome to LA. So,
yeah, it's a rough life over here.
It is. That's why everybody in LA got to hustle. Let me tell you, everybody in LA got to hustle. Everybody doing a lot. So let's move on to this next one, because this next one is funny to me, because this dude is lying about a lie. So this one is funny because here's the thing. People on Reddit, they remember stuff forever. And I thought when I saw this, I was like, I feel like I've seen this before. But I don't commit stuff like this to memory, so I forgot. But social media never forgets. So let me show you this because it is funny regardless. So let me show you this tweet that this guy put. He said, this dude beat me in Madden so bad that I told him I was 11 years old. Because dude says, you suck. And guy says, oh, sorry, I'm only 11. He goes, my bad, you're really good for your age. Keep up the good work. And he goes, mom never lets me play. She said, I'm too fat. She calls me fat boy. So you could have just left it at I'm 11 years old. You didn't have to put the whole mom calls me fat boy. But I was like, oh, that's funny. Haha. It sounds familiar, but haha, whatever. And then here comes Twitter. They don't never let you live anything down. And they called this man out for lying about his lie. And this person says, I've seen this 15 times in the past 5 years. And then this other guy says, stolen from Reddit. I've seen this post several times too. So you lied about the lie? You lied about the lie. And then, so this is just hilarious to me because I'm like, my guy, you could have done this a lot better because we caught you in the lie about the lie. But, hey, I get it. Sometimes you need to do what you got to do to get more followers. So I'm just going to let this one ride. But this next one, this is the one that I wanted you to stick around for to see, what this little tidbit of information about Julio Jones. So I sent it to our producer last night because I did not know, I know J.R. Smith's real name is Earl. I'm still not entirely sure where the J.R. came from with the Earl. And I know Ja Morant's real name is Demetrius Jamel Morant. So I still get him being Ja Morant because he just shortened his middle name to Ja and Ja Morant. So that name makes sense. But the rest of these kind of blew me away. So let me know in the chat if you guys knew what the real name of some of these players are. So we're going to go with Bam Adebayo first. Take a look.
I personally believe my life is in simulation, bro. This might be all a lie. Do y'all know what Bam Adebayo's real name is, bro? This whole time I didn't know this. This man Bam's name is Idris Adebayo. Idris? Ed Rice? Ed? What the heck is happening?
All right, so yeah, I did not know. I don't know. Maybe that was his nickname, like maybe just Bam. I don't know. I don't know where Bam came from Idris, but PJ. There's got to be a P and a J in his name, right? But I don't think so. Take a look.
I personally believe my life is in simulation, bro.
Oh, next
this
one.
might be all a lie. Do y'all know what Bam Adebayo? I can't even begin to tell you how confused I am right now. You trying to tell me this whole time this man's name is not Julio Jones? His name is Quintorius Lopez Jones? This man's name is Quintorius? I know the NFL just must have said, bro, you can't have that. You got to change that. Because there ain't no way you going to be running up and down this field talking about some Quintorius.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had no idea that his name was Quintorius. I think I have one more for Buddy. The PJ one wasn't in there, and I have to look that up while we look up the Buddy, while we play this Buddy one, because this Buddy one I didn't know either. So if we have that, Leo.
And on this note, I'm logging off. I did not know. I didn't have a clue that this is his real name. Buddy Hield's real name is this. Shavano Rainier Hield? Shavano? What? I've been calling him Buddy. His name's Shavano Rainier? Get the fuck.
So that one I kind of get because I have a nephew whose name is Tony, but we call him Bubba Smith. So everybody calls, and I don't know how he got that nickname, but we've been calling him that since he was a baby. And so everybody calls him Bubba Smith. And then one day I called him by his real name, which is Tony, and everybody was like, well, I thought his name was Bubba. You thought we put Bubba on a birth certificate? No, we did not. So that one I kind of get with Buddy because it was probably just a nickname. But PJ's real name is Anthony Leon Tucker Jr. I don't know where the P and the J came from on that one, but that is definitely hilarious to me because I just cannot believe these guys having all these names. The other one was a Victor Oladipo. If I have another Victor Oladipo, I actually have a crush on. So I was a little bit mad to know that Victor Oladipo's name is not Victor Oladipo. It's something crazy. but y'all have to look it up. But a lot of these players, now I feel like I just have to spend a day and just go through and look at everyone's names because y'all out here lying, especially my man, Victor. I'm so upset. But that's all we got for the post up. Now let's get into what we not gonna do, because this one just kind of solidifies my thought process about the Carolina Panthers. Now, let me just tell you, I've already mentioned that I'm petty. Now, if I leave a job because, it's just that time, I'm elevating in my career, I don't really do any damage like on Glassdoor. For those of you guys who don't know, Glassdoor is it's like a platform that you go to and it's like Yelp for your job. So people will ask like, how good is it? How good was it to work here? And then that's when you can read all the horrible comments about that company before you get a job there. If you need the job anyway, it doesn't matter. You're still going to take it. But if you don't need it, then sometimes those comments are like, Yelp. So I'm that type of person. When I leave a job, if you're trash, I go on to Yelp, Glassdoor, wherever I can to let you know how trash that company is. So Teddy Bridgewater is doing something similar, but he's not doing it in the malicious way that I was doing it. I feel like he tried to catch himself and tried to realize, I might have put information out there that wasn't supposed to be out there. But I've said it from day one that I felt like Carolina drove Cam's body to the absolute ground. They did not give him the tools to succeed. They just let him run. And they were like, we're just going to use you and abuse you until your body runs out. And they basically did that. And this has been confirmed with me on this because Teddy is saying that now that he's with Denver, he doesn't have to hold anything back. But he's saying that one of the most important things that you need to practice in the NFL, especially if you want to win a game, in a 2-minute drill or in the playoffs, or like we remember how Cam looked really bad in the red zone when he went to the Super Bowl and faced the Denver Broncos. They looked horrible in the red zone. And I couldn't figure it out. And to be honest, even though as much as I love Cam Newton, I was one of those people that kind of put it squarely on the shoulders of Cam Newton. But if you listen to Teddy Bridgewater, that might have been a huge mistake. It's all coaching and how they practice. Take a listen to this.
That organization, they'll have to just practice different things, in different ways. Like one of the things we didn't do much of when I was there, we didn't practice 2-minute really. We didn't practice red zone,
What?
so.
It was the most important thing.
What?
That's
what
what
you used to have a whole day devoted for 2-minute in red zone. That's Thursday practice.
Yeah, I mean it's I guess the game, man, is becoming about science, and trying to keep guys healthy. So you didn't practice on Fridays there, but you walk through the red zone stuff, and then Saturday.
Yeah, see, so that's a lot. That's a lot. And I had the exact same, when I first saw this, I had the exact same reaction that Brian McFadden had. And I was like, wait, what? You don't do what? How are you going to be good at the 2-minute offense? And that's one of those things that you really, really do need to be good at. We've seen Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, as much as he was crazy. Tony Romo used to be really good in the 2-minute offense. That's where he was best. But having that 2-minute drill, so when you're down and you can run that hurry up offense, is crucial in games when you're down by just a little bit. It's crucial in the playoffs. So to hear that they're not having red zone practices or they're not having these 2-minute drills is mind boggling to me. So then he tried to clean it up. I think you guys probably heard a little bit of that because he also said they didn't have practice on Friday. They just had walkthroughs. But then he said on Saturdays, then they would run these red zone offenses or practices, but they would only walk them through and then they would only touch the ball 15 times and then they were done. So they're basically not really practicing on Friday or Saturday. So for me, this is one of those situations. Well, how do you expect to win? How do you expect to be in these crucial situations where the game is on the line and it's up to you and your offense? How do you expect to win this? But then the light bulb went off for me. I was like, this is why they have always consistently, because I wasn't checking for them until Cam got there, but this is consistently why they have struggled in the red zone in these 2-minute offense, because they're not practicing it. So he went on to say that, the reason why they don't do that is because those moments in time are intense and it's about science now. And we want to sit down and talk about these 2-minute drills. We want to sit down and talk about this red zone offense, but in the efforts of safety and to keep our players safe, we're not going to run these. What's the logic? Because, okay, just say we're not going to do full on hits. But you still got to run these 2-minute offenses. If you don't know how you look in practice, how you going to know how you're going to look in a game? And I would be, if I was a Panthers fan, I would be mortified right now to know that my team doesn't even practice how to win in crucial situations. This is crazy to me. What we not going to do, Carolina, is see that your business is all out there now, that you guys are having these subpar practices and not step that up. You guys need to start practicing. It just bothers me. I see Kevin in the chat. He says they have a college coach. Is this a college thing too? Don't you still need to practice this 2-minute offense and red zone offense in what the hell are we talking about right now? This is so asinine to me. I get it. We definitely want to be safer. I understand that even a lot of the rules in the NFL right now are kind of detrimental, but they are in place to try to keep players safe. But at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're doing in practice, there's no way in hell you can know what you're doing on the field. This is dumb. Carolina, y'all need to fix this because Teddy done put y'all on blast. So if y'all go out there this season and struggle in the 2-minute drill and the red zone offense, guess what? We all know why. So you better fix this offense before we clown you real bad. But that's all I got for what we not going to do. Devin, are you surprised to hear this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very surprising. Anytime that you're just going to miss any you just have to practice everything when you're in the NFL. You can't just leave anything to the side and not run through it. So I think it is surprising. But you did make a comment about that college versus NFL thing. Somebody else tweeted, NFL games are decided often by these situations. College games rarely are, and that needs to change in Carolina ASAP. So that seems to be a common theme here. I guess a college level way of practicing. I don't know, but I do think it is.
He's right. They rarely are, but it does happen. I've seen it happen where it's come down to a last minute play or something like that. It's rarely like that red zone thing. That's definitely true. It's usually like that deep Hail Mary pass that happens in college. But nonetheless, you still have to be. This is one of those things that I'm having a problem with Urban Meyers too. And I'm starting to wonder if the thing that I put on college athletes is also true about college coaches, because the decisions that Urban Meyers is making are trash, and he's coming from college to the pros. So now if you're not a college coach anymore, sir, you are a professional coach. Red zone happens every single Sunday. Sunday. These 2-minute offenses need to be ran every single Sunday. Maybe not every team, but every single Sunday, a game is decided in that 2-minute offense and that hurry up offense. You need to be good at it. You need to be good at it. The only way you get good at it is practicing it. So I don't know. Do better, sir. Do better.
I agree. And I don't think that Teddy is even making excuse. I know a lot of people are like, oh, great excuse coming from him. Like, I don't think that he's even making excuses here. He's just saying that there needs to be an adjustment that happens. They can't be doing walkthroughs on Saturday. They need to be prepared. I don't have a problem with him saying it. I think it was a bold move to speak about it. But you know what? I think that it's important. I think it's important for Carolina to hear this and to maybe make that change. But let's wrap up the news, you guys, or the show today, you guys. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so tune in. We have Fan or Foe coming up at the end of the show tomorrow, so if you want to see if we read out and answer some of your questions and comments, you know what to do. Leave us your most brilliant, thought-provoking comments in the comment section below. And we'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Subscribe, tap the bell, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment below, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.